Hey all, Pixel here, Improbable Garage, and this is the first video of me actually working on the Cyberpunk Cube. So like I said in my sort of introduction to this vehicle video, that's really hard to say, is I want to build this into a sort of cyberpunk car. I want to make it look like it's been surviving in a dystopian cyberpunk future city for an extended period of time, and part of that is telling a narrative with the car. I'm not going to be obsessive about this, but I want to sort of have the car have a whole story that you can almost just see by looking at it. So part of that is going to be, it's going to get repainted partially because silver is boring. Also, this is just such a now color that it seems wrong. So the entire car is going to get repainted. I'm going to do most of this with quick and dirty. Like the repaint is not going to be proper. It's going to be a scuff and shoot, and I'll show you what I'm going to be shooting it with in a moment. But yeah, I want to get it into a different color, and then once I've got that color on there, that's going to get worn and faded and made to look beat up and worn so that it looks like the car has been around for ages. I don't want to put a shiny new paint job on it and then immediately start doing stuff to it such that it looks like a brand new car was fun. I want it to look like a car that's been worn and beat down. So I'm going to grab the paint and I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing. So what's it going to get painted with? This stuff. Specifically Montana paint. This is graffiti art paint. I'm using this because it has really good coverage. I can probably paint the car in one coat, more or less. It's UV stable and it's really durable. This is the kind of stuff when you see like street art murals and that kind of stuff, the like professional graffiti artists, this is the kind of stuff they're using. Not necessarily this brand, but this type of paint. And so basically the car's going to get scuffed, it's going to get shot with this stuff, and then like I said, we're going to wear that down. But I chose this because there was no point in putting a bunch of effort in to do a really nice quality paint job to then beat it up. So this will do the job. This should hold up pretty good, and if it fails, well, it looks like the paint job's failing on the car, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. So this color is Neptune. These are both the black series. I'm using these because they're higher pressure cans. They cover more space. So I'm going to be using these with big nozzles. The Neptune is basically going to be the primary, most of the body going on up. And then the other color here, which is slate, I'm going to be doing the roof, this pillar, and rail, and probably the hood. Now back here, the cube's asymmetrical. Part of why I like this design for what I'm doing. But I've got a plate here, metal pillar, glass, and then this wraps around to glass on the other side. So the two sides of the car are a different shape. So I'm going to be taking the slate from the roof down this section, but these indents around the windows, I'm planning to continue the Neptune blue. So the slate's going to come down and end somewhere in this area, because I think that'll just make it look that much more funky. If I think it looks ugly, I'll redo it. But yeah, so I'm not going to be painting the bumpers because those are going to be getting removed later. So what I have to do is scuff down the entire car, all the paint that I want to paint. So it's got some tooth, and then go at it with this. Not sure I'm going to get to all of that tonight, but I'm going to get going. Oh, and I've been using the hood to test out paint colors because I was feeling weirdly angsty about painting this car. I don't know why. For some reason it was kicking my anxiety. Decided to have a field day with it, so I decided to break the seal, as it were, by just painting the hood with a couple colors. This blue and purple were initial ideas. I didn't like them. This is that slate gray. This was mostly I just wanted to see how this copper paint went on. It turns out the copper paint was on terrible. Oops. And then this is the Neptune blue, but it's also got a little bit of a metallic color misted over it. Alright, that's done. Oh, jeez, that's hard. I just did a really quick and dirty scuff with a red scuffy pad, which is basically the thing you're supposed to use. And my shoulders hurt a lot. So anyway, everything's been scuffed that I'm planning to paint. The bumpers haven't been scuffed. I did a quick and dirty scuff of the hood and then realized because of all the paint I built up over there, I'm going to have to actually sand that with real sandpaper to smooth it out a little bit so they're just all the ridges from all the paint is not visible. So that's become a future project. I'll deal with the hood later. But the rest of the body is all scuffed. I cleaned out all of the little cracks in here that still had crud in them, and then washed the whole thing with dishwashing detergent because it's a good degreaser. So that should have gotten any grease on it and the sanding dust off. Now this needs to dry through tomorrow because obviously I can't paint it like this and it's not going to dry anytime soon. I also pulled off the rear emblem, but need to attack this with some Goo Gone and stuff to get all this crap off. So sadly not going to paint tonight. It also, you know, it's getting dark. It keeps getting dark sooner and sooner, so. But it's all scuffed, so I should be able to get to that pretty quickly. And I have definitely at this point gone past the point of no return because it's going to look like butt tomorrow when it's dry and in the light with all the scuffing and stuff. So now something has to happen to it, so I might as well spray paint it. So yeah, that's going to be for today. I'll catch you up tomorrow. Alright, I don't think this new buffing compound's working out for me. So, next day, and in the sunlight, I didn't do a sufficient job of scuffing it. Enough to make it look like butt, not enough to make the paint consistently stick well. You can see there's whole areas that are still shiny. That means the paint's not scuffed enough there. And also, my cleaning was quick and dirty, but that's okay. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to go over the whole thing again. I did pull off the emblem and use Goo Gone on here. I think I might have to do a second round because I'm realizing it's still a little off. It still feels a little sticky. But I mean, it got dark last night and my shoulders were hurting, so I was trying to just get it done, and that was a mistake. I should have concentrated on getting some of it done well rather than all of it done poorly, because now I have to do it all again. You know, same thing up here. But whatever, I'm gonna get back at it. I don't think I'm gonna film. I'm just gonna work on a little bit of it and then take a break, and then come out here later, work on it a little bit, take a break, so on and so forth, until I just get it all done. Alright, hope you enjoyed that bit of video of me doing the roof, but it's all re-scuffed properly now. Both sides, the back, the roof, went through and very obsessively did all the seams and scuffed it in a way where I overlapped my own pattern. So it should be all good now. There'll probably be a spot or two on it that's not super great. Oh, there's crap. Where the fuck did this crap come out of? Yeah. So I'll rinse that better because I don't know where the pine needles came from, but should be all set now. So this needs to dry, which is probably going to be an overnight thing because it's getting cold. And then the next day I can work on this is going to be masking it off and shooting color on it. If these are easy to get to, I'm going to take them off. If not, I'm going to mask them. Ditto on these. I'm pretty sure those are going to be pretty easy. The handles are going to stay on it. I took the emblem off the back. The antenna is going to stay on it. And that's about it. This is going to... I mean, I'm doing this rough and ready on purpose for multiple reasons, including that I'm going to make this paint job look like shit after I put it on. So if it goes on like shit, not super concerned. But should all be scuffed and ready now. So making progress. And definitely no going back now because all the paint's messed up. Also, like, wow, this car is in bad shape paint-wise that I didn't even realize. Like, scratches there. The whole roof, I have no idea how much this is going to show up, but it's got, like, big gouges all over it, all in here. I think somebody cleaned it off with a shovel at some point. So, yeah. Don't feel bad. Don't think I'm ruining a nice paint job, because oh fuck am I not. But we're all as done as I can be for tonight. I can't even try and like push this, because there's going to be water in all of these little gaps and stuff. So even if I blew it down, if I tried to paint it, water would come out of these gaps and mess me up. So that's it for tonight, and I'll pick this up the next day. Alright, I did this super quick because I'm supposed to be at work right now. This door I'm going to pre-paint purple. I'm going to do the blue over it so that I can potentially sand through it like the door was replaced and then badly repainted. I haven't decided if I'm doing that, but if I do the undercoat now, I can decide later. Everything's matched off except the door handle. I'm going to do that right at this moment. Tape that in so it doesn't flip onto it, and then put the first real paint onto this. Well, purple door. Wait for that to dry, and then I can move on to the next step. And the car is taped up. So what I'm going to do now is add some rust and some gray to be primer to certain areas that I think I'm going to want to sand back later, like the paint is worn out. Again, I'm not sure if I'm doing that, but if I do this now, it makes my life easier further on. So it takes very little effort to add that at this stage. So I'm going to go grab those colors. I'm going to do that. I'm going to give that a chance to dry, and then colors are going to go on. I should be able to get this done today. Alright, and there's my rust and primer work. Try to get a decent amount of the, it's actually not rust, it's chestnut, because the Montana rust color is a little bit too light for my tastes. This is a closer color to like the Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer, which is a better base, but I'm not going to use that stuff because it doesn't take other paints super great and it takes forever to dry. But I got that on. I tried to get a thorough coat of that on, and then the primer I shot on real quick because I'm going to want to burn through that pretty quick if I'm doing this. There is now texture on here that if I was being super careful about this, I would be sanding that down to smooth it all out, but I'm not. So we're not worrying about that. This door I didn't do any of that effect on because it would be pointless to have painted it and then done that effect over it. So that one stayed. Overspray doesn't bother me. Got it all here. Basically what I was trying to do is get the upper surfaces, the stuff that might get burned by the sun, basically. You know, the surfaces where the paint would get damaged by the sun beating on it was what I was aiming for. So that's that. I'm going to give that a little bit longer than I basically barely waited for the rust to flash off before I painted over it. This I'm going to give it just a little bit more time, maybe like 10-15 minutes. And then I have 4 cans of my color. I have no idea if that's going to be enough, but I'm going to try and do it all. If I was sensible, I'd like do it panel by panel in some way, but I'm not. I'm just going to go. And if I run out of paint, I run out of paint. I got to buy more. That was all they had in stock, so that's why I have 4 cans. But I'm also filming this because this will be useful later if I do decide to sand back to remember where I put all this color. So yeah, and like I said, let this flash off for a little bit, and then I'm going to get my color on here. And if I'm really lucky, I'll have all the blue done tonight, and I can strip all this back and have that step done. And we're done. All right. Standing here, the camera seems to be showing it significantly more blue than it is. It's a more green teal in real life, but just had enough paint. This is the last can, and it's probably maybe half full. I probably could have done it with 3 cans, but one of them, as you can see by my fingers, had a cap issue where about half the paint was bubbling up around the cap rather than going out the nozzle, which messed it up. Came out pretty good. There's a lot of striping in it that I'm seeing, but I think a lot of that is textural more than anything else, because I've gone over these areas a couple times. I think I may go back over this area again. This door took way more than it should have to get a good coat on it, actually. I was looking again. Yeah, I think that striping is textural more than anything else. Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do with mats to fix that. Mat is kind of has to go on the way it goes on. But overall, it came out pretty good. So I'm going to keep doing this because I keep spotting spots that might be silver rather than just textured. I discussed before that I'm bringing the gray on the roof down here, but what I've decided to do to make it more interesting is the gray and the blue are going to come up here and like split by having stripes where it's like thicker stripes of the blue getting smaller and smaller, and thicker in between thicker stripes of the gray getting smaller and smaller. So this area be like a fade, but in stripes, to make that just that much more interesting. As I previously noted, the arcs around the windows are going to be the blue, but overall I'm pretty happy with it. The door handles I didn't paint because I wasn't sure the best way to do that. I think eventually what's going to happen is they're going to come off and get painted, because I just don't think I was going to get a good paint job, a good solid paint job on them. It's really fun to be able to do that. I have to say, about halfway through doing this, a thing kicked into my brain that was just like, who declared me an adult? Who said I could buy a car? Look at the kind of dumb shit I do when you let me. Like, sorry, I'm still looking at colors while I'm talking to you. But yeah, I think it came out pretty good. Again, bumpers are not staying on the car. That's why they weren't painted. Hood is going to get the same slate gray as the roof. But overall, yeah, I like this color. I literally, the first time I went in looking at colors, my eye caught this one and I was like, oh, I like that color. And then I kept second guessing it and changing it, and I bought some other colors and I wanted to get all fancy with stuff, and then I tried those colors and I didn't really like them, and I ended up just going back and buying this one, and I'm really glad I did, because the thing I wanted from the color was I wanted a color. I didn't want gray, because otherwise I would just left it gray. Also, and this is nothing dissing on them, but so many other people, when they build steampunk vehicles, paint them silver or gray. So I wanted to stand out. I didn't want to look like I was copying other people. Not because they suck. I mean, their vehicles look awesome. But I just didn't want to be accused of copying, and this was the easiest way to differentiate. But so I wanted a color, but I didn't want a quote-unquote normal color. I wanted something weird. I wanted something a little out of time, a little out of place. Like, Cube never came in this color. This isn't a color that you would have expected on a vehicle in this era. It's kind of retro 50s, but not really, but it's kind of, you know, that kind of thing. It's a messed up color in terms of, like, it doesn't fit anywhere. And I like the color itself. It's a really cool color. And I've got other plans for stuff I'm putting on top of it that I think this will make a good background color. It's interesting, but it won't overwhelm other things by being super bright. This is the other thing I was thinking, I was doing like a super bright yellow or orange or something, and then I realized that's going to fight with anything I put on top of it, because it's going to be so bright in and of itself, whereas this is a little bit more subtle, isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. And so if I put something else on top of this, it'll pop off of it, because this is a fairly cool color. So that's it for right now. I'm going to let this set up while I clean up all my cans and stuff. And I'm going to pull all this plastic off before the paint has a chance to 100% set up, so that I don't tear the paint off with the paper. And if it's still light out, I'll show you that. If it isn't, I'll show you it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. This is good. This has alleviated a bunch of my stress about this because I like this and I have to continue at this point. All right, next day, let's see what it looks like in the sunlight. I literally haven't been outside yet. Oh, hell yeah. That looks great. That's exactly the color I wanted. I wanted to flip the screen around. Yeah, it's still showing up way bluer on my little screen here. When I do the edit, I'll tell you whether on my computer screen it looks more right, but on my little camera screen it's way bluer. But it's really teal in real life. Yeah, that came out really good. So that's cool. This evening, maybe, if I get a chance, I will get the slate on the roof and the hood. All right, you're getting cell phone footage because I managed to seal the camera in the car. But this is all masked off. My awesome partner got all of this masked off and got the spacing right after I failed a couple of tries. So I'm just doing the roof rail right now because I realized I can't actually do the roof and the rail at the same time because I need to like lean on the rail to spray the roof. So I'm just getting the roof rail and that bit down the back done. The roof panel is actually a lower priority anyway, just because it's not going to be super visible. I'm also not doing the hood because I ran out of the plastic masking stuff. So obviously I can't put my camera on time lapse. I can't put my phone on time lapse. So I will catch you up actually tomorrow morning because you'll be able to see this properly. You won't be able to see squat. All right, I have to get to work because I'm running late, but I have to show you this. It came out so good. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that so... My partner is just... she has such great attention to detail, and that just came out exactly the way I had hoped. It's got that perfect sort of 80s stripe package fade thing that I wanted. Oh, so good. So good. The rest of it came out pretty good, too. Like I said in the thing, I think I didn't end up doing up there because I planned wrong and didn't realize that the only way I can paint up here is by putting my hand here. So I'll do that as a separate paint. I still have to do the hood, but the gray came out really nice. I really like, it's exactly the color combo I was hoping it was going to be. You know, it's got sort of a bit of an 80s vibe, but without being screamingly the 80s, because I'm not building an 80s car. I just wanted to pull a little of that vibe into it. So yeah, so good. So good! Oh, I'm so happy about how that came out. That just looks amazing. And yeah. So obviously the next step is to get the roof painted, get the hood painted. But yeah, I had to show you that as soon as it was light out, because yes, I'm that excited about some stripes, but I don't care. It's awesome. All right, paint is done. There wasn't any intermediate filming because I forgot where I put the camera, but the hood is painted and the roof is painted. I ended up realizing I didn't even have to like mask the car off again to do the roof because I'd already done this part and I'd sprayed the edges, so I just had to kind of fill in and it worked fine. The roof is good enough. It's not perfect, but don't care. I'm barely ever going to see it. And then the hood, I got 3/4 of the way through and ran out of paint. So I had to go rush out and buy more paint and then come in and sort of try and do another coat on all of it. And I ended up with some, this is the area that I had to finish, but the rest of it ended up with some striping. I'm going to experiment, once it's all dry, with wiping it down with Prepsol to see if I can get all the little mostly dry dust, because the part of the reason you get striping and stuff is that when you're spraying it on and you're spraying paint, the outer bits of that stripe you're painting are just a fine mist of paint that mostly has dried in the air. So when that goes down, that's how you end up with stripes. It's not the entire cause, but it's a large chunk of it. So I'm going to experiment with trying to wipe it down to see if I can reduce that. This over here, I don't know how else going to show up on camera now that it's dark, but the stripes that are over here, I scrubbed the edge of them with, God, I forgot the name of the stuff. Let's go inside. Brain no worky because I need to have dinner. This stuff, Never Dull. This is a wadding, it's cotton infused with chemicals for polishing metal. But what it was useful for over there was it had just enough friction to pull, like, there's a step there from the paint, you know, this paint being thicker than the blue in that area, but also in addition to that, where the tape was, the paint kind of rides up on the edge of the tape, and you'll leave the tiniest bit of a vertical, just fence almost, and that's just aggressive enough to knock all of that off, but not aggressive enough to affect the sheen whatsoever. So I very carefully just scrubbed all the edges of this with that. So like when you run your finger over this now, you can feel the step in height, but there's no longer a sharp like thing sticking out, and the edge looks cleaner as a result as well. So I think that's going to be it for this episode of the Cube's Cyberpunk conversion. Obviously not very cyberpunk yet, but we're getting there. We got to lay all that base down. And so I will talk to you all later. Thanks very much. Bye.